Josh Allen, or Patrick Mahomes? Who is the best quarterback in the NFL? That's the question. That's the controversy. Who's the man? Who sits at the top of the pyramid? Bill Simmons just released his 2025 quarterback pyramid. And at the top of that pyramid, he named Josh Allen, not Patrick Mahomes, the best quarterback in football. But what's so interesting about that discussion is the actual debate. Do you take Mahomes because of the success against Allen's Bills in the playoffs? Or do you take Josh Allen for his overall dominance and superior statistics throughout 2024 and really 2023? But in this video, I want to break down that podcast. I want to break down that debate because it's really intriguing. Bill goes in depth. They debate it. Mahomes or Allen. If you want me to break down the entire pyramid, I'll still do that. But I thought this discussion was so good, I couldn't pass it up. So 100 likes, I'll get you the entire pyramid reaction. But here, it's the number one reaction. Allen or Mahomes? Who's the man? Who's the guy with the belt? Who's the number one? Top dog, top of the pyramid, best quarterback in football. And is it someone else? Let me know in the comments. Lamar, Joe Burrow, Allen, Mahomes. Who's your guy? Who's the best quarterback in football? Let me know in the comments. Let's debate it. Let's have fun right now with a little Bill Simmons, because I thought this was a really good discussion. So let's go. Let's go.
So we're going to go through some of the choices, but the big one for me, and I thought about it long and hard, and I'd like to think that I am relatively thoughtful with this stuff and not clickbaity. I did not have Patrick Mahomes at the top of the pyramid, and I just couldn't get there with it. And I looked and I stared and I tried to make excuses left and right. And I just, when it came right down to it, I just think Josh Allen's the best quarterback in the league.
First of all, I love how he said, I tried to make excuses. Because that's literally what everyone does when it comes to ranking Patrick Mahomes number one. That's what everyone does at the end of the day. If you're ranking Patrick Mahomes number one entering 2025, you're making excuses. His line wasn't that good. His receivers were hurt. His run game. Why weren't his stats elite? People have to find their excuses. They have to find their reasons, right? Because you can't have a statistical debate when it comes to Mahomes being the best quarterback in football. So I made a little graphic, actually two, to help this discussion. To make it clear as to why somebody would actually choose Josh Allen over Patrick Mahomes. Because for some, they just see the playoff results. But truthfully, it's pretty crazy to say that Patrick Mahomes was better than Josh Allen last year. He had less total yards, although close. No other statistic was close. Touchdowns 41-28. EPA first versus 10th. PFF grade third versus 8th. Big time throws 41, which led the NFL to 21. That's 20 more, including the playoffs. Turnover worthy plays, Allen had less with 18 to Mahomes' 20, despite 20 more big time throws, tight window downfield throws. QBR first, tied with Lamar, to 8th. Pressure to sack percentage, avoiding sacks. First versus 19th at 9.5 to 18.5, almost double. So Allen was better in terms of explosiveness. We obviously know he's a better runner. He was more efficient. He was basically better in every single statistical category that you could possibly imagine. Okay? So let's continue to break this discussion down. I just wanted to throw that out there because on the surface, if you didn't know the names or the histories of these quarterbacks, You would easily say that Allen was better than Mahomes. In fact, you'd probably say 3, 4, 5 quarterbacks last year were better than Mahomes. The reason people go with Mahomes comes down to playoff success and career achievement, not recent play. And honestly, getting to the Super Bowl and losing isn't a great accomplishment. It's not superior to winning the MVP of the NFL, at least in my opinion. Now, I think winning the Super Bowl can be superior, but when you get to the Super Bowl and lose by $1 billion, I don't think that's a great season. Like, honestly, I don't know. You know, that's just me. And I'm trying to be unbiased. I don't hate Patrick Mahomes. I don't like the Chiefs. Everyone knows that. But I just think that excuses is so valid. It's so valid.
Game by game, regular season, durability, the fact that he had 14 sacks last year. You basically either can't sack him or he gets away or he runs away. He can make chicken salad out of chicken shit.
Yep.
Physically, he's dominant. I don't blame him for them not winning last year. I feel like he's gotten them right in the spot. Even when you think of that overtime game last year that they lost, like the 13 seconds game, he did everything he could. I just think he's the best guy in the league. Now, in 4 months, Mahomes might grab it back. But from what we saw from Mahomes last year, which I want to go into in a second, I just don't think it's fair to put him over Josh Allen, especially because Mahomes didn't win the Super Bowl last year. So when you saw that, what was your reaction?
Couple things to talk about there. First of all, I think it's interesting he brought up the playoff failure for Allen, or I guess you could say failure, losses to the Chiefs. So I found these statistics here on Reddit. Josh Allen is now 0-4 against the Chiefs in the playoffs, despite producing an average of 327 yards, 2.75 touchdowns, nearly 3 a game, less than half a turnover per game. And in those 4 games, his defense has allowed an average of 35 points. So obviously, Mahomes individually had to play well in those games in order to put up these, 35 points on the opposite side. But basically what this is telling us is that Allen has played just as good as Patrick Mahomes on his side of the ball and has not been the reason why the Bills have lost those games. So that kind of does strip away a big argument, because when you look at it, Allen is 4-1 in the regular season against the Chiefs, and he's 4 consecutive victories against the Chiefs. Right? I believe his only loss was the first game he played against them. Other than that, he's played well. So, yeah, I mean, the head-to-head stuff I think is interesting, because nobody says that Jalen Hurts is better than Patrick Mahomes. Nobody says that Eli Manning is better than Tom Brady. And there's probably many, Jared Goff isn't better than Patrick Mahomes. I believe he's 2-0 against him. So nobody, just because of a couple wins and losses in the playoffs, head-to-head, I feel like that can't be the only argument for a player. It can be a cherry on top. It can be a part of the argument, but it can't be the only argument. See, this is where, you couldn't bring up stats like this for Lamar. You couldn't bring up 327 yards a game, nearly 3 touchdowns a game. Lamar, to me, can't be number 1 because of the playoff failures. Joe Burrow can't be number 1 because recently he hasn't made the playoffs. Both of those guys can get there. Let's say if Lamar wins the Super Bowl, he could easily be my number 1 quarterback next year. If Joe Burrow wins MVP next year, he could easily be my number 1 quarterback. Patrick Mahomes could once again be number 1. He hasn't been the best quarterback in football since 2022. That's the last time he had a great season. Period. Let's continue this discussion. Guys, let me know where I'm right. Let me know where I'm wrong. I'm just speaking facts.
My first reaction was, I thought this goes against everything I thought I knew about you in terms of, honestly, from having, read you, listened to you, working with you, talked to you. I thought you had sort of a life principle that when one guy has the belt, somebody's got to come take the belt. It's not just like, oh, the belt's on the ground. And Allen, I love Allen. Like, I actually think there is a case to what you're saying, that it's hard to be like, oh, Mahomes does this better than Allen. Allen's a better runner. Josh Allen's awesome. I think we're talking about a very slim margin between the two. However, if it is that close, and Patrick Mahomes has been to 5 Super Bowls, won 3, has played Josh Allen 4 times in the playoffs and beat him every time. I hear what you're saying. Those aren't Josh Allen's fault. I totally agree with that. But still.
Here's my problem. Why are we talking about the guy that won 3 Super Bowls? We're talking about 2025. Are we not talking about 2025? I don't know. Here's also the thing. Tom Brady won 3 Super Bowls, and who did people say was the best quarterback in football with 0 rings? Peyton Manning. Am I wrong? So what's the difference?
Somebody wins, somebody loses. That's sports. I feel
also, Tom Brady, to that point, hadn't lost to Peyton Manning in the playoffs either.
like Allen needs to either beat Mahomes and get to a Super Bowl, or just win a Super Bowl to actually get the belt. So I think the argument is fine and the conversation's fine, but I think if we're talking about actually get the belt, I'm not giving it. I think it's still Patrick Mahomes's. I mean, his down season was 15-2, got to the Super Bowl with a terrible offensive line and a terrible supporting cast. And it's just
terrible. Andy Reid, terrible. Travis Kelce, Hall of Fame, terrible. Joe Tooney, Hall of Fame, terrible. Creed Humphrey, probably going to be Hall of Fame, terrible. Trey Smith, highest paid guard in football or whatever he is, terrible. Fastest man in the NFL, terrible. Terrible. Top 2, 3, 4, 5 defense, terrible. Spags? Chris Jones? Come on, man. Not terrible, bro. That's crazy. That's crazy talk. Terrible. Terrible. That's crazy talk. But the one other thing he said is, if it is close. Here's my problem. We just went over the stats. It's not close. Individually speaking, last year, and even the year before that, it's not close. Team-wise, yeah, Mahomes has the edge. But individually speaking, statistically, it's not close. So what makes it close?
Was it terrible? Like, the Patriots had a terrible offensive line. Was Mahomes' line terrible, or was it terrible against the Eagles? I mean, I know he didn't have a left tackle at the end of last year. And, you know, shit happens when you're a quarterback. Nothing gets to be perfect.
You don't get to have Tyreek, Travis Kelce in their prime every year, bud.
Every single season.
Look at what Josh has. What?
I just thought, so in 2022, he threw for 5,250 passing yards, 41 touchdowns, 12 interceptions.
What happened?
That dropped 1,300 yards last year. Now, he played one last game, but it was down in 26 TDs, 11. All his stats are down. The rushing stats are down. I guess my question is it possible that he might have peaked a couple years ago as like Apex Mahomes?
We've talked about
I'm talking through it. I'm not trying
He peaked.
to be a reactionary guy. I just don't think he was as good last year as he was in that 22 season and some of those other years. I didn't see it. I thought they kind of lucked out. They were 11-1 in 1-score games, and some of them were really stupid wins. I never felt like he had the same command. I didn't think he moved the same way.
The Raiders game? Does anyone remember the Raiders game?
I know his offensive line wasn't good, but I also thought he wasn't moving like he used to. And I don't know. I thought the Eagles killed him.
Yeah, I personally don't assign almost no blame to Mahomes for what has happened to the Chiefs offense. If I were a Chiefs fan, I would be furious at sort of
the quarterback gets no blame.
Roster building, and they've tried stuff. It's not that they haven't tried stuff, but it's like, I mean, they had
I don't assign a lot of blame to Mahomes for what's happened to their offense, because I do feel like to some degree their receiver talent has been spotty. Kelsey has fallen off a bit. And I think that Andy Reid has gone uber conservative. But no blame, none. He's the most important factor. He's the driving force of the offense. He's the guy.
At 4 different left tackles.
You can't give him all the credit and then give him all no blame.
Last year, and they had Xavier Worthy,
Worthy's good.
DeAndre Hopkins,
DeAndre Hopkins is still adequate.
34-year-old Travis Kelce. I mean,
Kelsey was didn't he catch like 90 balls last year? Like, people act like Travis Kelce last year was like Ben Watson on a torn Achilles in 2019. Come on, bro.
I do think there's a case that if you swap Josh Allen with Patrick Mahomes, that the Chiefs offense might have been better because of Allen and the running element. I do think that's a big deal, that Mahomes can scramble, but Josh Allen.
He's also better at avoiding pressure too. So he's better behind a bad offensive line.
And you can use as a designed runner. And I do think that's a factor in terms of just building an offense that might not have a lot of good pieces. He can make up for that. But man, I look at it and I'm just like, we make excuses for.
Okay. Can we just compare the skill positions for the Chiefs and the Bills last year real quick? To be honest, did the Bills have a better receiver than Hollywood Brown last year? Khalil Shakir, debatable. Keon Coleman couldn't get open. Let's be honest. Amari Cooper was a shell of himself. So Amari Cooper, D-Hop was probably better than him. Worthy is dangerous. Way better than Coleman. Kelsey versus Kincaid. I mean, I'd probably still give it to Kelsey last year. Yes, the Bills had a better run game. Yes, they had a better O-line. But one guy has Andy Reid. And one guy definitely has a better defense in Patrick Mahomes. So I don't know, man. Like, this whole supporting cast thing is, I don't get it. Especially next year. Because next year, I think the Chiefs have the better receiving core. For sure. I don't think that's a question. If Rashee Rice is healthy, I don't think that's a question.
So many quarterbacks, and this guy didn't have a play caller, and this guy's, and I just look at what I don't think it was good last year. I mean, I have a hard time thinking that many quarterbacks could have gotten them better than whatever they were, like 8th in offensive DVOA, with the rookie wide receiver who couldn't stay in bounds, with the rotating cast at left tackle. I mean, they've kind of, I hate what they've done to Patrick Mahomes. You gave the numbers. It's like, we watched this guy and he was bombing it downfield and he had a rocket of an arm and he was the most fun guy ever to watch. And now they're throwing it 6 yards because they can't come up with anything else because they don't have the talent around him. So that's where I'm at with Mahomes.
Or they don't have the greatest deep threat I've ever seen in my life.
I put pretty much nothing on him. Now, other people might disagree, but that's kind of how I view it.
This is typical trophy generation performance parenting by you. You made the key point, and this is why I put Allen in that top spot. If you switch them last season, the Chiefs would have been better with that version of Allen last season versus what they had with Mahomes. And
all I'll say is I don't think Josh Allen gets obliterated in the Super Bowl. I'll just throw that out there. You guys let me know in the comments what you think.
I've heard all the excuses. By the way, I'm the one who just picked Mahomes blindly every week and all the way through the Super Bowl. I had no other reason. I thought the Eagles were better.
I remember that.
Like, I'm not going against Mahomes. So I say that knowing that I was that person 9 months ago. I just keep looking at the Josh Allen piece, and we're not making the same kind of excuses for him because the team performs no matter what happens. Like,
they were still what? The second best offense in football last year, and their best receiver is Khalil Shakir. Again, I don't mean to be mean to Khalil Shakir, but come on.
Who were his people last year? James Cook was good, right? But like when you look at the receivers that he had, it's not like Keon Coleman was going nuts. He had Shakir. They traded for Amari Cooper during the season. That didn't really do anything. I thought Schultz was not Schultz, the Knox.
Kincaid, yeah.
I was getting my Daltons confused.
White tight ends, yeah.
Yeah. No, the tight ends were okay, but for where they were in fantasy before the year when we were like, oh my God, these weapons. I don't know. I just felt like he was a one-man show in a lot of ways. And as a Pats fan,
best one-man show in football.
And I just am the most, or betting against a quarterback. I was the most afraid going against him last year. I always felt like he was going to make a play. Some of the stuff with so he had in the last 2 years, 27 rush TDs, but he had 109 first downs running.
Yeah.
And normally QBs are between like 20 and 30. This guy's getting,
that's crazy.
I don't know, basically 3-4 running first downs a game. And if it's a big playoff game, maybe 5. And that's the piece. I thought they should have won last year. I keep coming back to that. Like, I don't know if the right team won last year.
He's the most efficient.
I disagree. I think the Eagles were the best team. I think they would have beat the Bills, but it would have been closer.
Runner in the NFL and has been for like the last 3 years. Like when he either chooses to run on a scramble or on a designed run, it's pretty much unstoppable. I do think that's a case for him. I think the best point you made is probably if you're an opposing fan right now and which quarterback are you most afraid of in a playoff game? I think there's a case for, it might be Josh Allen. Now, I don't like making arguments against Josh Allen because I do think it's flip a coin, and I'm basically just saying the tiebreaker goes to the guy who's won more. But they had a top 5 offensive line, I would say, last year.
But my problem is the production of the players is not even comparable. That's my problem. I can understand if it's close, but it's not. You know? We never said Eli was better than Brady because he beat him. Because the production was never close.
And stayed very healthy. So I feel like the great quarterbacks can overcome either the average offensive line or like the bad supporting cast. When you get both of them that are bad, sometimes you're kind of just stuck. And you're.
I don't think they're bad though. Like, what's so bad about the receivers he had? Like, am I delusional? Like, tell me, who would you rather have? Worthy, Hollywood? I'm not even going to include Rashee Rice. Worthy, Hollywood, D-Hop, or Shakir, Coleman, and washed Amari Cooper. And then you've got Dalton Kincaid versus Travis Kelce. You tell me who you would have rather had last year. That doesn't even include Andy Reid. Andy Reid has wide open guys the entire game.
You're like the 8th best offense instead of the 2nd best offense.
Yeah, it's weird. This is uncharacteristic from me because normally I'm like a playoff pedigree, wins. Right. Somebody's got to take the belt from the guy.
So am I. I just feel like the production and the individual accolades, achievements, statistics are so far and away superior that you can't even really debate it. Plus, like, winning the MVP is superior to losing the Super Bowl, in my opinion.
I don't know, man. I watched I watched everything last year, and I just felt like Josh, when you look at the totality of what he did looking back versus the mystique of Mahomes versus what actually happened.
Versus
and the fact
what
that he
actually happened. That's a quote.
He was able to turn it on right when they needed it, but just quarter by quarter. I don't know how you would say anyone's better than Josh. I mean, the only other guy statistically that has a case is Lamar, who last year was 41-4, 4 interceptions. He ran for 915 yards. He had 47 rushing TDs, first downs. Threw for over 4,000, but the playoff resume just kills him. Like, that's one where you can't discuss him for the top because we haven't seen him do it. Yeah, Josh, it's like we haven't seen him 100% do it either, but I also feel like 2 of those wins, I can't really hang on him.
I think that's right. If you look at the Bills' playoff losses, Josh Allen has played like 95th percentile games statistically, where just their defense has just let them down every single year in the playoffs. They get carved up by Burrow or Mahomes or whoever it is. And yes, you can make the case that not everything in the playoffs has been Lamar Jackson, but I do think you can say it hasn't been quite as flawless. He has made mistakes here and there. And then just the physicality.
I would argue that it's been worse than what he just said. I would make an argument that I love Lamar, but I would make an argument that you can actually visually see the difference in Lamar's play in the playoffs. You can see it.
Of it where Lamar Jackson has stayed healthy, but earlier in his career, he had seasons where he missed five games. And Josh Allen's kind of like what you always talk about.
That's also a fair point against Burrow as well.
LeBron, where it would just be shocking if like Josh Allen went down and didn't get up, and you're like, oh my, Josh Allen's out for a month. Like, wait, I thought he was indestructible.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man. I mean, now the more I'm thinking about it, like they did have the ball with a chance to put away the Chiefs last year.
They did.
And they didn't.
Kincaid dropped it.
And do it.
Yeah.
And that's at least partly on him, even though, whatever. But and I remember saying that at the time. It was like if you're gonna take it from Mahomes.
And honestly, I think what we're missing in that moment is how much better Spags' defense was prepared for the Bills than the Bills were prepared for Mahomes. The schematical difference in that game defensively was humongous. Like, go back and watch that game.
This is your chance. You have the ball. You can finish them right here, and they didn't. But I don't know how you could have Mahomes first after the start to finish year he had last year, unless you're going to tell me the offensive line was that bad. Because the other piece with Mahomes, the infrastructure of that read, the play calling, like just the stability they've always had there.
Yep.
I think that really matters.
Does.
And that's something that some quarterbacks, they might have 10 years where they don't have anything like that. So I know he didn't have a left tackle. He's going to have a left tackle this year because by all accounts, that first rounder they took, it feels like that's probably the biggest draft pick storyline, right? That they have like a real kick.
Simmons could be really good.
Cast left tackle that crossed their fingers that they took basically at the end of the first round. He's going to kick ass for them.
Yeah, if it works out, that's a huge deal in the AFC. Now they're swinging another guy into guard because they traded Joe Thuney, and so I'm always skeptical with the rookies in like the August.
He's already making excuses.
Reports where this guy looks great, and I'm just like, let me, because I was doing a bunch of like statistical research on this, and like 35 to 40% of first round picks won't even start 8 games this year.
Wow.
And like everybody gets so excited in August that, oh my God, they solved their, you look at a weakness and you say, oh, they solved their problem with this guy. And it's like almost half the guys aren't even going to play. So yeah, I need to see.
That doesn't feel accurate.
It the first month of the season, but I'm with you. That is a huge pick that could kind of swing things in the AFC.
All right. So my conciliary disagrees. I'm going to keep Allen in the top spot. And I'm going to say this to Patrick Mahomes. Prove to me I'm a shithead.
Okay, yeah, we're going to end it there. Let me know in the comments what you guys thought of that debate, Allen or Mahomes. Obviously, I was pro Allen on this debate just because I feel like it just is what it is. Like, the Mahomes debate basically comes down to he played one great game against Buffalo last year. He didn't play very well throughout the season. He got his ass kicked in the Super Bowl. I just don't understand why we're going to award the guy who was pretty average in the regular season number 1 spot because of his history of performance that dating back 2 years now has not been that good. Over a guy that led the NFL in total yards and total touchdowns in 2023, then backed it up with an MVP, and brought a team that people thought would get worse to the AFC Championship and within 3 points of advancing. That's just my opinion. But you guys let me know what you think. I know there'll be some Lamar people out there too, so let me know on that. But I just thought this was a really good conversation. If you do want me to react to the entire pyramid, which is also pretty interesting, then let's get 100 likes on this video and I'll give you that reaction. It's Mitch. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace.